there's so many different telltale signs that warn us about what's going on. And when you're eating too much of a certain food, that's not good for you. Everything in moderation. I'm going to pick on the face a little bit today because that's something that we can look at every day. A really important feature, you know, some days when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and, oh my God, I look so old. And 3 days ago I didn't look like this, right? It's like, what happened? Okay, what it is besides lacking sleep, besides being stressed out, besides not eating well, the forehead is a barometer, okay, that usually start seeing more wrinkles in, okay? You know, some days you don't notice the wrinkles, and other days the wrinkles are there. Anybody have a clue why those wrinkles come and go like that? You certainly didn't get any older or younger overnight. Does anybody have an idea?
Bad sheets.
Bad what?
Sheets, pillowcases.
No.
The diet we eat that week or that day.
It's a lack of hydration. You can be drinking a gallon of water, a gallon of vegetable juice, you can be doing all of that. But if you are not hydrating your body, it's going to show up here. So when you're hydrating, your body is giving you, the bowels are going to move. This is showing you that you've got poor bowel elimination, you're dehydrated. So you need more moisture in your body. Now you can be drinking that gallon of water, but you're eating chips, and you're eating popcorn, and you're eating meat, and you're eating cookies. You're eating a lot of dehydration foods. And dairy is a liquid, but it's dehydrating. Just because it's a liquid doesn't mean it hydrates. For every can of soda you drink, you need 3 times that amount in water on top of the water that you would normally be drinking, because soda and caffeine, sugars, all of these things, alcohol, are all dehydrating. So it's going to show up. That's why some days you're drinking a lot of water and you're getting the water in there and you're feeling really good, and then you go out and you party the next night and you're drinking alcohol and you look like you, oh my God, I was out partying. Well, that's part of it. But then you get, you get some of the discoloration under your eyes and you feel like you're getting really old. Well, this is a double. So we're dealing with an organ that has 2 parts to it, and that's the kidneys and the liver. So when you start seeing discoloration, sometimes white, sometimes black, it could be lack of mineral nutritions going on. So when you start looking at your face and you see problems, the first thing you want to do is ask yourself, what am I doing in my diet that could be triggering my health problems? Because maybe you've made some unnecessary changes. One of the things that doesn't necessarily have to do with diet, how many people have seen a person with a red nose? Red nose. How many people have seen a person with a red nose with broken vessels in it? Anybody have an idea what that is?
Alcohol.
What?
Alcohol.
Alcohol? No.
Rosacea.
We're talking about what part of the body?
Oh.
What part of the body do you think the nose is associated to?
Heart.
Bingo. Who said heart? It's the heart. This is. You ever watch a movie or you're with somebody and they get really emotional? Doesn't the nose turn red? When you're watching a movie and that person's really being emotional, they're doing good acting. Their nose is they're really into the part. They're feeling it. Okay? When you see someone's nose and it's red, and yes, if you come in from the cold and you have the red cheeks and the nose, yes, you've had a lot of blood and oxygen going away. But when you start seeing the broken blood vessels, that's a sign of serious heart problem. This is your heart right here. So when you start seeing problems with your nose, there could be something going on with congestion. Maybe you're dealing with a heartache. There's something going on with the heart. So wearing the heart on the sleeve is one thing that goes with the heart meridian, because we have meridians in the body, we have reflex points in the body, we have body parts that are associated to different parts of the other part of the body, we have acupuncture, acupressure. All of this are ways to determine health problems that we can reverse before they get worse. And this is the barometer I'm talking with you today, is understanding how you can say, oh my gosh, You know, I can see that I'm not getting enough hydration. Well, if I'm not getting enough hydration, not only is it affecting your large intestine and you may have constipation, but it's also affecting your gallbladder, your liver, your bladder, your kidneys, your skin, your blood. Okay, all of these parts of your body are being affected, and all of your organs, because we are made up of over 80% water. And again, anytime you put any of the dehydration liquids in, you need at least 3 times the amount of water on top of what you're supposed to drink. So I'm always emphasizing water in almost every program I do, because this is a lifesaver. But the healthiest beverage you can put in your body is fresh, pressed vegetable juice. Nothing is better than that. And the reason for that is because the fresh pressed vegetable juice, and we're not talking about putting vegetables in a blender, that's solid food, and that can cause health problems. It can also be beneficial to some extent, but that's another subject. But you want the juice, you want the pure liquid. And the reason the vegetable juice is so good is because it has vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and live enzymes. You do not get any of that from water. So water is considered inorganic, and vegetable juice is considered organic. There's a chair right there. Oh, sorry. Thank you. You're welcome. Herbal teas are okay. Just no caffeine, and preferably no sweetener. Doesn't mean you can't add sweetener to your teas periodically, just be aware, don't be overdoing it, because sugar is dehydrating. Okay? Oh, let's see, I'm going to pick on this gentleman here. You see this area right here where this man is bald? That's part of the body. I can tell you that you have problems with your kidneys and your bladder. You may not see anything that's been diagnosed yet, but this area, when you're going bald here, is telling me that your kidneys and bladder are dehydrated. You may or may not have bladder problems. Bladder problems are more prevalent in women because of our organs. But we're seeing an underlying effect of potential kidney and bladder problems. You do not get enough fluid in your body. You eat too many dehydrating foods. And you're setting yourself up for possible, not potential, not probable, but possible, difference in the word, kidney stones or other types of kidney problems. Oh, see, he's validating the issue. And not only that, but he loves sweets, salts, and spicy foods. And those foods really affect his adrenal glands. Now, I know this because I read this body. If he's got problems with his kidneys, he's got to have problems with his adrenal glands, because the adrenal glands support the kidneys. The kidneys are back here, the adrenal glands are up there, and the adrenal gland's job is to produce cortisol and aldosterone, which are 2 hormones, which tells me that his hormones are out of balance. And you see how I'm taking this down a trail? Because when we played that game, you know, the hand bone's connected to the foot bone, we are interconnected. Unlike medical science, they want to keep separating us. It's all connected. If you go to the doctor with a pain, you know you have that pain and they can't find it. Well, you need to see a different doctor. You need to go to someone who's going to listen to you. Not someone who's going to write a script and give you prednisone because you don't know what's wrong and just give you anything. Or give you a pain pill that really isn't going to do anything. Most pain pills they don't do the job. They just kind of numb you for a while. You want to get to the root of your problems. And as naturopathic doctors, that's what we do. We go to the root to overcome the problem. We don't treat the symptoms. So by you looking at yourself and knowing that you can make positive changes, it's going to help you heal. Simple changes, baby steps. Another area of the head, what's another typical area of the head that people go bald? Right up here, right up here. Mm-hmm. What do you think this is? What part of the body? What is one of the most prevalent health problems? Excuse me?
I think GI like stomach.
Try something else, something serious. Bingo. How many men go bald right there on their crown? And women, of course, as they get older. That's a sign. Maybe you've had heartache in your life. most heartfelt problems are coming from heartache, not necessarily from the food. You're eating improperly because you're going through heartache. And you're going through heartache, so you're eating improperly. You know, it's a double-edged sword. But if you're eating steak and potatoes and steak and potatoes and steak and potatoes and you're doing butters and all these other things, you're going to wind up with heart problems. You're not giving your body the most important food it needs, which is vegetables. Vegetables are on the top of the triangle. I invert the triangle. Vegetables. There is nothing healthier than vegetables. And there's hundreds of different kinds of vegetables out there. So you want to make sure that between 60 and 70%, preferably, like around 60% of your diet alone are vegetables. Because vegetables work like a broom in your gut to help clean you out. So it's very important to have the vegetables going into your body. That's 60%. That's not beans, it's not legumes, it's not nuts, it's not seeds, it's not fruit. It's just vegetables. 60% of your daily diet, you should be getting vegetables throughout the day. If you want eggs in the morning, set it on a bed of leafy greens, spinach, field greens, and have some other vegetables with it. Maybe make a vegetable omelet, things like that. There are other ways you can be creative. Munch on vegetables throughout the day. Instead of using crackers and dips and things, have celery, jicama, cucumber, zucchini, anything that's crunchy. Go think out of the box. Stop buying the typical foods because all of those processed foods are going to dehydrate you. And again, dehydration leads to an enormous number of health problems beyond your imagination. You want to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. So you don't have the bagginess here, and you want to make sure you are eliminating, you want to make sure you're not taking in a lot of the unhealthy foods. So these are some of the focal points that you can automatically see by looking at somebody. You're never going to look at somebody the same way again, of course, because you're going to know things wrong. I can have every person stand up here and I can look at their belly and I can tell them how much overweight they are. How much fecal matter, when you're carrying a belly, and especially if you're not carrying a lot of fat in other parts, but if you're carrying a belly, that is fecal matter, gas, parasites. Some fat, but it's mostly gas, fecal matter, parasites. And parasite is not a bacteria. Parasite lives off of your body. Every living, breathing creature, plant, animal, has parasites that lives off of them. So we have parasites that live in our small and large intestine, especially our large intestine. And the more that we put foods in there, the more the parasites are reproducing. So you have a lot of problems going on. And believe it or not, if you have addictions to food, you can bet those parasites do, especially if it's sugar or fried foods, because they love both of those. And that's why it's a little bit harder to give them up. That's why you have to say, that's it, I'm not doing these anymore. Because they will help you have that craving for it, because it helps to build up their habitat, those kind of foods. So you want to start saying, okay, do I want to be healthier and live a quality life, or live whatever life I'm going to have and be unhealthy? So you start paying attention to the way you look and the way you feel. So how about some feelings in the body? Anybody here have any knee problems where they didn't have an accident that caused it? Knee problems. Yeah. Knee problem. Well, I'm going to use my body as an imaginary zone. We have, and this is one of the things I teach in my foot reflexology, because I teach a lot of esoteric healing. We have an imaginary field, if you will, that is directly connected to the intestines. On the bottom of your foot, you have a reflex point that's for the large intestine. Okay, we'll start on the right hand or the right foot, and you have the large intestine. You have the ascending, the transverse, which crosses over, matches back up on the next foot, the transverse, and then the descending colon. Okay, you got that picture? We got that? Okay. Your colon should be shaped in a healthy format. None of you have a healthy colon in here. I know that right off the bat. Because of our American diet. You know, you're supposed to eat a meal and have a bowel movement. Eat a meal and have a bowel movement. Eat a meal and have a bowel movement. Just the way we all did when we were infants. We ate, we slept, we cried, we wanted our diaper changed, and we got fed again. We played, we slept, we woke up, we cried, we had a bowel. In other words, the food goes in, Food in, fecal out, food in, fecal out. Anybody has pets that feed their pets well know this is the rhythm. My dog is in the middle of eating his breakfast, he's ready to go out. He comes back in, he may eat some more, he may eat later. That's a healthy diet. That's a sign that my pet is being fed healthy. It's the same thing for us. If you don't have a bowel movement after every meal, you don't eat the next meal. Because you're only eating out of habit, not out of hunger. You're really not hungry. It's a habit. It's a habit. So, back to the knee problems. We have this imaginary line that goes up from that reflex point that I mentioned on the right foot, comes up on the medial side of the leg. So we're going to call this the ascending colon. So there could be some stuff going on. When you hit the knee, you're at an area here that's called the hepatic flexure. It's a bend in the colon, which is directly associated, the hepatic flexure is directly associated, so if you have any pain here, it could be associated to the liver, the gallbladder, and the heart. Those are the reflexes. Because you don't just have reflexes on your hands and feet, you have reflexes on your ears, which deals with ear piercing. When I do programs, I show people that, hey, you know you shouldn't have ear piercing in certain areas because you're actually affecting. On the lobe is fine, but other places you're actually affecting a part of your body, another body organ. Okay, so you have reflexes in your mouth, in your teeth, in your gums. So we have a lot of different places that we have different reflexes. So if you're having a pain in your right knee, you're probably constipated right here. Plus, you've probably got some stuff going on with your adrenal glands and kidneys, because the kidneys and the knee, okay, are connected to each other. So if you're having a pain there, it could also mean that you're not moving forward in your life, that you're afraid to take steps forward, you're hesitating. You've got constipation because of the blockage there. And when you're constipated, you stay stuck. You stay stuck. You stay stuck. Okay? So then we go across the body, okay, right from here to here. And that's basically your reproductive organs, your sex, and so forth, okay? So if there's a problem going on, if you're having genitalia problem, if you're having reproduction problems, you may be constipated in the transverse colon. When I get my women that are having problems conceiving, sometimes it's because they don't have good bowel movements. So that part of the body is not functioning well. So there's another seat up here also. And then as we work our way down, the left leg, we walk down the left leg, we have another flexure, and it's called the splenic flexure, which is directly associated to your spleen and your pancreas. So you have pain here on this knee. Well, you're probably eating too many sweets and you're affecting your pancreas and your spleen, which is a precursor to what illness? Diabetes, exactly. And diabetes is going to be triggered from eating not just sugar foods, which we eat way too much of, but all of your dairy is sugar. All of your grains convert to sugar and then to fat. So you want to limit the amount of grains, especially you don't want to eat a lot of highly processed grains like dry box cereal and crackers and breads and things like that, because they're going to convert to sugar and fats, which are going to cause you to have problems. So it's not that it's bad for you to eat, you need to be limiting it. You need to limit the amount of grains that are going, especially the processed. Because one, they're going to what? Dehydrate you. So you want to make sure you're getting healthier food in. So you have this imaginary line and you have knee problems. Well, whatever knee is giving you the pain could very well be associated to constipation in your bowels. And also dehydration with the wrinkles showing up in the forehead. And the large intestine, if anybody ever get breakouts on their lips? The lower lip is directly associated to the large intestine. Breakouts on the upper lip? Any type of breakouts, sores, fever, blisters? That is stomach problems. Anytime you're having problems with the upper lip, we know that there's stuff going on with the stomach. There are many other parts of the body that are associated with different organs. But we want to be focused on just a few today so I don't totally overwhelm you. I want to touch on different areas. But these are things you can pay attention to. Your creases. You ever get a fever blister or a cut on the side of your mouth and you're like, what the heck is this all about? Well, you know something's wrong with your digestion because it's the duodenum. And if you're doing incorrect food combining, if you're eating too many acid-forming foods, if you're eating too fast, if you're overeating, you're affecting the duodenum. The duodenum is between the stomach and the small intestine. It's getting clogged up, it's backed up. Too much going on, too much of a bad thing going on in the body. It's a warning. So lots and lots of things are happening at once. How many of you are aware of what time you're born? Okay. Do you know, by over a 10,000-year-old science, that your birth time plays an enormous part in primary organs that you may have problems with throughout your life? You have primary and secondary. Somebody tell me their time of birth.
12:01 p.m.
Oh, you had your share. What time?
11:59
11:59 p.m. What month?
September.
September. So that's daylight savings time in that year. So 11:59. Well, the human body doesn't know from daylight savings time. It only knows biological time, which is the standard clock. It doesn't matter if you move it around, but this is something you carry through life. So 11:59 p.m. is now going to become 10 p.m. 10:59 p.m. If we look at a solar chart, and I spent 5 hours teaching solar nutrition, if you look at a solar wheel, you will see that 10:59 p.m. falls in the graces of a confusion. We go from 9 to 11 p.m. and 11 to 1 p.m. Well, she says 9:59. What state?
Arizona.
Arizona. Arizona doesn't change their time. Okay, they're always on biological time. Okay, so they're on that one time. Because we're right at the crossroads, unlike here, like Chicago has Central Time, Texas is further over, so the time is a little bit different in that Central Time. We know that things can be different. Now, I would look at her and I would say, okay, well, 9 to 11 would be triple heater, and 11 to 1 would be gallbladder. I am willing to bet that she probably has more problems going on with her gallbladder and eats a lot of rich foods. And if I was to go to the opposite side of it, I would say, please take very good care of your heart, because the opposite of the organ of the gallbladder is your heart. And you really need to know that you need to eat healthier diets and stop eating the rich foods and the fried foods and the buttery foods, because that's playing havoc with your gallbladder and your heart. And I would lean more towards that intuitively, because I am a wellness health intuitive, that that's probably where it is, because it's so close to that hour time in your particular case. Because sometimes we can figure out a person's time just by some of the organs. And then we go to the minor organs. So your time of day plays a part. So does the time of day give you an idea of what's going on with your health. Say you suddenly get a headache, or you get sick, or you hurt yourself. If you pay attention to the clock at what time it was, you can figure out what organ is being involved in that. So let's say you have a fight with somebody, and then you bump into a table, and it happens to be between 3 and 5 in the afternoon. And you're getting really upset about this. You had a disagreement with a friend, and you bumped into a table. The table didn't hit you. The problem is that you got pissed off, and you may wind up with bladder problems, and not even being able to, why did I get bladder problems? Well, you probably didn't drink enough, you probably didn't eat well enough. In other words, you start creating the problem that goes back to that specific time. And we can see that there's a mental, emotional connection to every single health problem that we have. Everything goes back to a mental, emotional connection. Mental is by choosing what you're putting in your mouth. Because eating starts with what you decide you're going to eat, not by when you're putting it in. And digestion starts with chewing your food. If you don't chew your food well enough, you're not going to get the nutrients from the food, and that's a promise. You've got to chew your food 32 times before you swallow it in order to get all the nutritional benefit. Anybody have any questions thus far? I know it's a lot of information. Yes?
You were talking about the reflexology in the ears. What is your take on the date piercing and its correlation to migraines?
The what piercing?
The date piercing?
The date piercing.
Date.
For migraines.
For migraines. It's this one right here on this part of the ear.
People people suggested that people who, I've had a friend who did it, she gets migraines a lot, she said it helped.
One of the reasons she gets migraines a lot is she probably eats a lot of dairy. Dairy is a precursor to migraines. If we're dealing with, if we're not dealing with some type of a tumor or a growth in her head, okay? The first place we're gonna look at is what are you putting in your diet? Worst is melted cheese. Melted cheese is a big trigger of migraine headaches, okay? So we would look at the diet. Caffeine and
Yeah.
smoke is another one. So we would look at it. So I would say, I would have to know, I don't know all the reflexes in the ear, myself personally, but I would look to see what that is associated to what organ it's associated to see if it really is doing something for them or if it's blocking something else. Because I could not honestly. You can go into a book, an acupuncture book, and you can look up a chart and see exactly where it is and see which organ it's associated to. And that might answer your question. But I'm telling you, again, it's a temporary fix. Eventually, you still have to get to the root cause of the problem. You can't Band-Aid everything.
Right.
But it will work for a while. Everything will work for a while. Everything will. When you go off a pharmaceutical drug, and the problem's still there. Well, doc, you said but you gotta stay on it for your life. What do you mean? You shouldn't have to stay on anything for your life. What you need to do is make the changes so you can live your life, not having to take a bunch of drugs. And only you can be in control of this vehicle. Remember, this is just a vehicle. This is it. And if you want a healthy vehicle, you probably take better care of your car than the vehicle that your soul is traveling in. And that's an important thing to think about. Because this vehicle's got to take you to get into the car. You are the vehicle of your car, or you are the soul of your car. Your soul is the driver of your physical body. Keep that in mind all the time. You've got to make intelligent choices for you individually. Don't let other people tell you what to do and how to do it. You've got to live what feels right to you personally. And by making positive healing steps and paying attention to the way you look and how you feel. If you wake up feeling funny and you say, oh, I must have slept funny, you probably didn't. You probably hurt yourself days ago and it followed the weakest link in the connective tissue in your body and suddenly you have a pain there. Because I do a lot of myofascial work and I can tell you this is where the problem's coming from. You got a pain over here. Huh? How did it come from? That's the way the body works. It'll follow the weakest link. I had a horseback riding accident, went off the horse, injured myself here, went off that way, and I wound up having dental problems. Followed the weakest link. And that's what happens. So start really listening and observing your body. And kind of feel that there's a lot of different books out. I also teach classes on this in greater depth with the times and everything else. I thank you for coming. I'm doing readings today. I'm doing intuitive health readings and what's going on in your body and what to do to change it, as well as soul to soul and all other kinds of readings here that can really help you transform your life. Well, I'm giving you the information. I'm not having you tell me about your life.